Welcome to the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, and for almost a decade, I have been a transformation coach and therapist. This podcast is all about lifting the veil of consciousness and awakening to the truth. It is also about helping you to raise the bar in all areas of your life and relationships by starting with you. If you're ready to take back your personal power and reclaim your life, you have come to the right place. I'm so glad that you're here, so let's get started with today's episode. There's a Harvard study that is called the 85-year Harvard study, and it is based on researchers in 1938 that embarked on a decades-long study to find out what really makes us happy in life and what adds to our life and what discounts from our life as far as longevity, happiness, fulfillment, and all those things. The researchers gathered health records from 724 participants from all over the world and asked detailed questions about their lives at 2-year intervals. Contrary to what you might think, it's not career achievement, money, exercise, or a healthy diet. The most consistent finding that they learned through 85 years of study is positive relationships keep us happier, healthier, and help us live longer, period. And this is from an article on cnbc.com based on that study. So I'm not going to go too much further into it, but this just sort of kicks off what I want to talk about here in this episode. So remembering always that relationships affect us physically, and that's a positive or a negative, right? We want to make sure, as this article actually calls it, social fitness, we want to make sure that we are really aware and cognizant of how the relationships in our lives are impacting us. Now, I would say the primary relationship that you have with a spouse, partner, husband, that would be at the very top. And of course, there's relationships with our children, our adult children, siblings, parents, friends, and it goes on, right? And so I think that it all pertains to this idea of how healthy are we, how balanced are we, how are we, are we fulfilled? I think that it is important to look at the whole picture, but for the sake of today, I want to focus on intimate relationship, because that is where we spend the bulk of our time. It's a very different relationship than what you would have with anyone else. There's a lot of emotional charge in that. There is a lot of room for things to get really toxic and unhealthy. And when that's happening, then the reverse is happening, where you're going to have depression, anxiety, mental imbalances, physical issues, and years taken off your life. That's my take on it. This article does not talk about it in that regard, but that is what I want to talk about here, is to really have that reality check, like do an inventory on your relationships right now. The thing that happens when we're doing this work, we're doing it in our primary relationship, it spills over into other relationships where you have to start kind of analyzing and seeing truths about your parents, your best friend you've had for your whole life, or your sibling relationships, and on and on. It does shine light on where things are not in your highest interest and highest good all across the board. When you start doing this work, it does ripple out. So I want to really highlight today, if there's anything that your relationship, if you're experiencing true narcissistic abuse, with the gaslighting, the stonewalling, the mental games, the mind games, the reality twisting, the not ever taking any accountability, everything's always your fault, there's lying, there's cheating, there's all kinds of fuckery going on, that we call it around here. It's true narcissistic abuse, with the hot and cold, the nice and the mean, and you don't know what you're going to get. If you are dealing with that, along with emotional neglect, feeling like that person really could care less if you were there or not, that they don't care about how you feel, there's no emotional attunement or connection whatsoever, that is going to impact your health in the negative. It's taking from your health. So everything that this study points toward around what we need in a relationship is going to be the opposite when those things are absent, when those keys to having a healthy relationship are not there. And in this article, actually, they go on to, which is really cool, the 7 keystones of support for relationships. So number 1 is safety and security. Who would you call if you woke up scared in the middle of the night? And who would you turn to? Learning and growth. Who encourages you to try new things, take chances to pursue your goals? Emotional closeness and confiding. Who knows everything or most things about you? Who can you call on when you're feeling low and be honest about how you're feeling? Number 4 is identity, affirmation, and shared experience. Is there someone in your life who has shared many experiences with you and who helps you strengthen your sense of who you are? Romantic intimacy. Do you feel satisfied with the amount of romantic intimacy in your life? Help, both informational and practical. Who do you turn to if you need some expertise or help solving a practical problem, like planting a tree or fixing something? And then fun and relaxation. Who makes you laugh? Who do you call to see a movie and go on a road trip with? Who makes you feel connected and at ease? Now, of course, friendships can fulfill this, but the way when I read this, I was thinking, well, that's what I would want in a partnership. I would want that to be reciprocal, where it's give and take. But for me, that is something I would want in an intimate relationship. That is someone that when your kids are gone, it's just you and that person sharing a house, sharing a life day to day. That is the relationship that we need to put our focus on. And that's what we're talking about here, because we're talking about intimate relationships here on this podcast. Now, what I did is this is an ongoing conversation. This is not the first time I've done an episode on the mind-body connection and the effects of living in a toxic relationship. If you scroll down, there's one that's called When Loving Him is Making You Sick. So I do talk about this. I have talked about it before. Prior to starting Awakening Women, I specialized in adrenal fatigue recovery, helping women with stress, emotional eating, dieting, disordered eating, over-exercising, like fixating on all of that, and the burnout aspect. And when I shifted into doing this work, I started to see, oh, wow, like what I was doing was still in line with what women are experiencing now. It's just now we're getting to the real root cause of your health issues if you're in one of these relationships. If you're in a toxic, unhealthy, unsafe, damaging relationship, that is damaging your health on all fronts, because the mind and body are connected. So I did a quick little poll in the Instagram community and asked how has your health been impacted by being in your relationship? So I'm just going to read through some of what has been shared so far. And it is Hashimoto's disease, PTSD, and really terrible sleep regulation. I have hypothyroidism now, and it's affected my health overall, trying to get out and get my health back. Lots of pelvic pain, kidney pain, grinding teeth, missed periods, headaches. I'm now off my anxiety meds after leaving. Someone said, I felt my blood pressure rising when you walked in. PTSD. I haven't slept in 2 years. Gained weight, stopped going to the gym. He was jealous of the men there. Hair loss. My physical health, hair loss, stomach pain, disturbed sleep, up worrying how I will get out. It's aging me rapidly. Multiple ER visits with chest pain, digestive issues, headaches, anxiety, depression, PTSD, hormone imbalances, social anxiety, autoimmune disease, inflammation, dental issues. My health has been 100% destroyed. Chronic IBS and unable to lose weight. Acid reflux, gallstones, ear ringing, IBS, chronic fatigue. Severe gingivitis and nerve exposure, HBP, I'm not sure what that is, chronic muscle and fascia tension. My thyroid took a dump on prescriptions, not fixing it, changed diet, is still messed up. Another one added, all gone after divorce finalized in very limited contact. Panic attacks, memory issues, heart pains, migraines, shooting nerve pain, insomnia. I've lost a tremendous amount of weight. I'm tired and depressed all the time. Holding traumatic stress in my neck and shoulders, then ruptured disc and fusion required. Weight loss, hair loss, autoimmune disease. I feel completely dead. Constant state of heightened anxiety and feeling on edge, racing heart and adrenaline. Diagnosed with fibromyalgia. So these were all some of the things that were shared. So maybe you can identify with some of them, many of them. And of course, I always want to add a little disclaimer that, of course, there's real causation for these physical issues. This is not saying, oh, your relationship is making you think you have these things. They're very real things. They're real symptoms. You may very well have these issues, right? We're not gaslighting around here to say, oh, is it all in your head? No, but it starts there. So these very real somatic body interpretations of what's going on in your life and your environment, they're real. Absolutely, they're real. But when we can really start to open that possibility, that window of possibility that, wow, maybe all of this I'm going through is because of this relationship. Just simply like that. Like, this relationship is making me sick. It's poisoning me. It's unhealthy. It is causing my fight or flight to be kicked in overdrive all the time. So when our stress hormones are constantly surging, it causes inflammation. It causes hormone imbalance. It causes weight gain. It causes digestive issues, all of those things. We don't want to have elevated cortisol over time. We want to have cortisol elevated when we're running from a bear or we're trying to pull a child from a burning car. Like, we want adrenaline to get us through that. We don't want adrenaline because he's pulling up in his truck at the end of the day and you're just bracing yourself for whatever's going to come your way, or just the day to day. You don't want that. And so when you're in that constant chronic state of stress all the time, then you start getting sicker and sicker and sicker. So once that starts happening, then you are weakened and you're more vulnerable. And then you start telling yourself, I can't get out of here because I'm too sick. And then you end up, I've seen this with women, they end up having to take a leave off of work, or they're not doing well at work because they're so sick. They're having to take lots of time off. And then you really are trapped. So it becomes a self-fulfilling cycle where you are trapped. You don't have a way out. And it's because of the relationship. So we have to do a reversal here of like, okay, so where am I going to start? Like, here, I identify with this. I'm able to see that, yes, where I'm at right now is a direct reflection of my environment, this relationship, this situation, what I'm living in. Well, now what? Right? There's a lot more to it than just going, okay, this relationship is really like, I feel like I'm dying. I'm slowly dying. I'm getting sicker and sicker, all these health issues. I'm spending all of my days running around trying to figure out what's going on with doctors. Maybe you're spending the day laying in bed, feeling unable to do anything. Your work life suffering, your parenting is suffering because you're at your wit's end. So where do you go from here? How do you make a decision about what your next steps are? So that's what I want to help you with. And what you can do is register for my Should I Stay or Should I Go masterclass. The link will be in the show notes. And at the time of listening, depending on when you listen to it, I am, over the next 6 to 8 weeks, running live sessions. These sessions will not be recorded. So if you want to hop on into a class, you're able to ask any questions and not have to be concerned about the recording being out there in public. That's part of the reason why I'm doing it this way. But also just to encourage you to get in one of the classes, because a lot of times those replays don't end up getting watched a lot of times, right? And so I've made a commitment to teach at least 4 to 6 live sessions, so one each week. Click the link in the show notes. You can register for a seat in the next one. And we're going to go into, all right, so here's where you're at. You realize that this is not a good situation. So now what do you do? Like, what's next? So we're going to dive into that inside of the class. So to wrap this up, to kind of package it up, the impact of the mind-body connection when it comes to your relationship, your primary relationship, your intimate relationship, your marriage, has a massive, massive life-altering effect on your health. It will literally make or break your life. It'll make or break your mental health. It'll make or break your physical health. And it's getting out of the denial and stepping into reality and telling yourself the truth that I am staying in something that is literally taking years off my life. Like, we need to have that reality check. Does that mean you can't reverse that when you come out the other end? No, I believe we can. But staying in something that is just making you sicker and sicker and sicker and weaker, so you actually won't be able to do anything, That's not serving anyone. So I want you to start taking some baby steps, at least some steps in the right direction to start putting yourself first. Because as that Harvard study, I love that. I read that many, many years ago in a course I was taking, a psychology course. And it stuck with me, was that your relationship health will make or break your life, basically. Not that we want to have a partner be our whole life, like they're our happiness. I don't mean that way, but like you're both living your life, you're both living your, you have your own careers, you have your own hobbies, you have your own things you're doing, and you come together and you enhance each other's life. That's the idea. And then if you have the opposite, where someone is abusive and controlling and manipulative and lying and gaslighting and playing mind games and neglecting you and doesn't give a shit how you feel, doesn't care how they treat you, doesn't value you, the relationship is not reciprocal, then that starts to take away. You are carrying the load, and that never works. And that's when your body starts to break down. Then you add in kids, and as I said, your career, your work life, your home life, you've got all these balls in the air. So what we need to do is put that focus on you. That's putting the oxygen mask on yourself, so that you can start building up some of your reserves, building up some of your energy with boundaries, and really taking the focus off of the relationship and putting it on you. So you can start going, okay, I feel more energized. I feel better because I'm making these changes right now. So then I can start going, okay, now I can see other ways, other avenues, other possibilities. But you can't see that when you're in it, and nothing changes until something changes within you. So get yourself a seat in that class. And if you also are pretty sure you want to be notified and join my next End the Cycle round, my coaching program, this comes with weekly coaching right now. The cohort that I'm enrolling into over this month on and off, it comes with weekly coaching with me. So you can hop on a call and get coaching, or get coaching in the group. And I'll put the waitlist link in the show notes as well, so you can get on that waitlist and be notified when we open for a short period. All right, so that wraps up this episode. If this resonates with you, please take some kind of action. Do something to put the oxygen mask on yourself, because you don't want to keep deteriorating physically and mentally so that you are weaker and weakened and less able to get empowered to change your life and get out of the situation down the road. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Awakening Women podcast. If you love this show and it has served you and helped you on your journey, please take a moment right now and leave a rating and review in iTunes and Spotify. If you'd like more daily content, videos, and inspiration, come on over and join me at Awakening Women Support Official over on Instagram, where we can connect and you can continue your transformation and growth journey. And I'll see you online.